Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Miguel Ocampo. Welcome to my YouTube channel. About a month ago, I completed my first ever HYROX race in Dallas, Texas. As you can see, I'm repping the shirt that I got there. In this video, I'm going to talk about what HYROX is and the layout of the race, talk about why I decided to sign up for it. I'm going to go into some of the details of the race and the split times that I had, and then I'll talk about what I learned from it and how I plan to improve for my next races. Throughout this video, you're going to see we got some timestamps, so if there's a specific part that you are interested in, feel free to skip to it, and yeah, we'll just dive right into it. All right, so what is HYROX? HYROX is a fitness race that combines both running and functional workout stations where participants run 1 kilometer followed by 1 workout station, and that is repeated 8 times. The cool thing about HYROX is it is a worldwide sport. It is growing super fast and getting more competitive as time goes on. Now I'm going to talk about why I decided to get into HYROX. So I heard about HYROX from some friends of mine, and then also through the gym that I go to. There's a lot of classes specifically for like HYROX workouts, and my background in fitness is through soccer. So I've been playing soccer ever since I was 4 years old, all the way until I was a senior in college. I still play here and there, but that was, where I was playing competitively, and it was a huge part of my life. It's taught me so many lessons, and that's really where I gained like the competitive spirit that I have, and kind of what I felt was lacking in my life for quite a while. So I was kind of at a point in my life where I felt very like mundane with my day-to-day life. I didn't really feel like I had like a goal to strive for. So like when I was playing soccer, I always had a season to look forward to, preseason. I was playing all throughout the year, and I kind of got to a point where my mental health was not doing very well for a multitude of different reasons, but not being as active as I want to is what played a really big part in it. So when I got to a really low point in my life, that's when I was like, all right, fuck it. We're signing up for a HYROX. We got to have something to work for. And so that's what I did. And I'm not going to say that it completely solved every issue that I had, right? But what it did do was it got me on a schedule. It really helped me stay very active, and also have a community of people to work out with and keep accountable of what my goals are and what their goals are. On top of that, I'm 25 years old, and most people my age are, out drinking and going out to clubs and stuff, and that's not really my interests anymore. So that's what led me to making a video, which, to be completely transparent, makes me extremely uncomfortable, but it's putting me outside of my comfort zone, and that's something that I hope to inspire other people to do, put themselves outside of their comfort zone, and also inspire you guys to reach out for a difficult goal and create a community here. And I'm not a professional athlete, so I'm hoping that I can learn from people that are watching this video, and maybe you can learn something from me as well. All right, so let's dive into how the race went for me. My total time was 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 15 seconds. And, I was fairly pleased with how it went for me. I was aiming for a sub 115, but it was my first HYROX ever, and I was, very new to it. So there was a lot of things that I learned, but I was relatively happy with my overall time. Out of the 150 people in my age group, which is 25 to 29, I placed 27th, which landed me in like the top 18% of athletes there. And then of the total of 927 men that participated in the open weight division in Dallas, I placed 133, which landed me in the top 14%. So for my first HYROX, I thought that was pretty good. I never really have ran like a marathon or done any sort of fitness competition like this. So for it being my first one, overall, pretty happy about it. Now let's go into my splits. You'll see here on the screen, these were all my splits. Now let's get into the details of my splits and how everything went there. So first, I'll start off with my total run time. My total run time throughout the whole race was 36 minutes and 11 seconds. And that placed me 75 out of 927 participants. And that was in the top 8% of athletes that day. So out of all the numbers that I'm going to run you through, those were definitely my best. So that's kind of what landed me at a relatively decent time, was my runs. So now we're going to go into the specifics of the race. So the beginning of the race, you start at this tunnel, and they do a really, really good job of hyping you up. They have music playing. You got all the guys there. Like, the energy's really, really high. And I was warned ahead of time, like, hey, the adrenaline's gonna be really high, and you're gonna want to run fast, but don't kill yourself at the beginning. And I was aware of that, but it still ended up being my fastest run. I felt fine, but I think that just moving forward, I'm going to be a little bit more aware of that. And if you guys are going to participate in your first HYROX, keep that in mind, because if you absolutely kill yourself in the first few stations, it can kind of ruin your race. Going into the first station, which is the 1,000-meter ski erg. I completed that station in 4 minutes and 28 seconds. That placed me 330 out of 927. So it was okay. I'm not extremely great at the ski erg or any of the ergs in general. It's one of the things I need to work on a little bit more. But I think that time was fine. I didn't want to kill myself at the beginning, so I was skiing at around a 2-minute split. So yeah, completed that in 4 minutes 28 seconds, and then went off to my second run of the day. Station number 2 is the 50-meter sled push, which is 335 pounds. So this station, I was going into this, I had practiced sled pushes a decent amount, because it was one that I was actually kind of nervous for. Didn't really know what to expect on this one, how heavy it would feel on race days. But when I got to the sled, it actually felt pretty decent, and I ended up completing that one in 2 minutes and 42 seconds, which landed me 240 out of 927 participants. So it was decent. It wasn't the best. Definitely some improvement that I can do there, but overall, I was pretty pleased with how the sled push went. And then after that, went into the run. The run is very difficult after the sled push for obvious reasons. You know, your legs really start to tighten up. The lactic acid is really built up at this point. So I was feeling it, but the run was okay at that point. Went into the third station, which was the 50-meter sled pull. And this was where, for me, it felt a little bit more difficult. But looking back, I was pretty surprised where I ranked among the 927 men that participated that day. I finished it in 4 minutes and 19 seconds and placed 189 out of the total. So when I finished the race, I looked back and I was like, man, I really sucked at the sled pulls. The reason I say that is because the rope is really long, of course, because you have to pull it 50 meters or 25 meters. Actually, no, not 25. You have to pull it a little bit less than that. But the rope is really long, and I tripped over it like 3 or 4 times, which took a lot of time away from me actually pulling the sled. I'll put a picture of me literally on the ground in that station. But definitely one of the things that I did not practice very much, just because I didn't have a lot of the equipment to train for it. But if you guys do have the equipment for it, I definitely recommend training for it, because getting the technique down for it is very important to not completely tire yourself out and learn how to conserve your energy and pull it in the most effective way. So then after the sled pull, went into my run, and station number 4 is the 80-meter burpee broad jump. And in my opinion, this is like it. For me, it was like top 3 most difficult station. It just takes so much energy out of you. Your heart rate spikes up a ton, and it just basically drains you. After completing this one, which was done in 4 minutes and 17 seconds, my run right after that was tied for the slowest run of the entire race. So that just kind of shows how much energy this station takes out of you. So definitely one that I'm going to continue to train and get used to, running after having my heart rate so high. And then we get to station number 5, which is the 1,000-meter row. And like I mentioned before, I'm not very skilled at the ergs yet. So I was going into this knowing I wanted to treat it almost like a little bit of a recovery. So I was pulling at about a 2:03 to 2 minute split, and I completed it in 4 minutes and 51 seconds. That also accounts for getting into the station and then running out. So it was a little bit less than that, but ranked 344th out of the 927 men that day. So that's okay, I guess, for where I'm at in my skill level for rowing. And then station number 6 is the 200-meter farmer carry. And I'll be completely honest with you, I fucking suck at these. Like, my grip strength is something that I really need to work on, and it was very evident in this station. I carried it the first 100 meters unbroken, but dropped it at 100 meters, and then when I went the second 100 meters, I dropped it like 3 times, and the grip was really not gripping. I finished that in 2 minutes and 28 seconds, which is not very good. It ranked 696 out of 927, and out of all of my stations, that is what I ranked the worst in. So I'm gonna be working on that grip strength, doing a lot of farmer carries, because it can definitely shave off like potentially a minute there. Then we got to the last 2 stations, and these are the ones that out of all the stations, they took me the longest. I think it's a mixture of the stations just being difficult themselves, and also the back half of the race. You've put in a lot of effort, and at this point, I was very tired. So station number 7 was the 100-meter sandbag lunges, which is about 44-pound sandbag that you put on your back. And in this station, you are not allowed to put the sandbag down. If you put it down, they give you a penalty. If you put it down twice, you get disqualified. So don't put it down. It took me 5 minutes and 29 seconds to complete this one. Ranked 529 out of 927 again. It's kind of funny. 529 is what it took me, and I ranked 529. That's a funny coincidence. Well, anyways, so from there, went into my last run of the day, and then we got to the 100 wall balls. And these are done with a pretty big medicine ball that weighs 13 pounds. It's really not that heavy, but at that point it feels like it weighs like 200 pounds. This took me 6 minutes and 21 seconds, the longest station out of my entire race. And that just kind of showed me that when I got to this point, I was basically dead. I was doing I could only do like 10 reps at a time. So I was doing that with a lot of break in between, and it took me a long time. I placed 482 out of 927, and then I finished out the race, and here's some pictures of me finishing. All right, so now I'm going to talk about some of the things that I learned after doing my first HYROX and what I plan to implement in my training moving into the next races that I have coming up. So, one of the main things that I took away is if you want to get like a above average time, like a really good time, I would say like an hour 10 or lower, being only good at running is not going to be enough. And the same thing goes for only being strong. It's really, really a combination of both. So one of the things that I'm going to really focus on moving into my next race, which is going to be in Washington, D.C. on March 29th, and I'll be filming my progress and all of that, is getting a really solid foundation of long runs and getting used to running for a long time, but also working a lot on my strength, because I wouldn't say that I'm very weak, but I'm definitely not at the level of strength that you need to be at to get a very good time. So those are the main things that I'm going to work on as far as that goes. To add on to that, another thing that is very important that I learned is just because you're able to run at a good pace just by running alone without any workouts does not mean that you're going to be able to run at that pace when it comes to race day after doing something like a sled push or sled pull. So one of the things that I'm going to be implementing into my training heavily in each week, I will always have a day that I'm working on compromise running. So what does compromise running mean? It essentially means running while in between your running sets doing some sort of exercise that will fatigue your legs a lot, because that's what the HYROX race really does to you. And if you're able to sustain your pace after having fatigued legs and training that over and over again, it will definitely help you a ton on race day. So that's another thing that I'm definitely going to be implementing into my training more after doing that first one, because it's the right thing to do. Do compromise running. The last thing that I'll mention as far as one of the main things that I learned after doing that HYROX is that the convention centers that are hosting this race, they're awesome, right? But it is so dry in that place. So making sure that you're hydrated, not only before the race, but if you have someone there watching you, if they got some sort of drink with electrolytes, that will be very helpful, because they have water stations there, but I felt like when I was going there and I was drinking the water, I would drink the water and I would feel like my mouth was like 10 times more dry than it was before I drank the water. And that was just me personally. I don't know if anybody else felt that way. If you did, drop a comment in the comments below. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. And as I say that, Throat is very dry, so stay hydrated. So if you are interested in following along my journey and seeing the progress that I'm making from now until my next race and some of the workouts that I'm doing to shave off that time, hit that subscribe button. And I'm really, really looking forward to creating this community and hopefully connecting with a bunch of you guys. If you are interested in chatting with me about HYROX or fitness in general, feel free to reach out to me in my socials in the description below. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out and stay hydrated.